Welcome to this training video on the Lingering Hemlock Project, presented by the Hemlock Restoration Initiative and the New York State Hemlock Initiative as part of the Nature Conservancy's Tree Species in Peril project. This training exists to help you set up a hemlock health monitoring plot to assist with the preservation of these beautiful trees and the ecosystems that they inhabit. In this training, we will provide a brief overview of hemlocks and their ecological importance, the hemlock woolly adelgid, HWA, and elongate hemlock scale, EHS. Examine how to select a site. Learn how to design a plot. See how to put plots on the ground. Learn how to monitor plots. Conclude with ending remarks preparing you for your search. The eastern United States and Canada are home to two species of hemlock trees, Tsuga canadensis and Tsuga caroliniana, the eastern hemlock and Carolina hemlock respectively. The eastern hemlock dominates the eastern forest landscape, occurring up and down the east coast from Canada to Alabama and spreading as far west as Minnesota. The eastern hemlock is a forest giant. It is typically found in riparian areas, growing along headwater streams, in moist, shady groves, and on north-facing slopes. Hemlocks are a foundational species in eastern forests, providing shelter, habitat, stream and bank stabilization, and numerous other ecosystem services. Adelgis tsugae, the hemlock woolly adelgid, or HWA, sucks the sap of hemlock trees, weakening trees, preventing new growth, and eventually killing trees. Infested trees lose needles and branches and typically die in 4 to 15 or more years, depending on environmental conditions, after the initial adelgid arrival, unless treated. The hemlock woolly adelgid's name comes from the insect's egg sacs, which form on hemlock twigs at the base of needles at certain times of year and look like small woolly tufts. These insects are invasive in eastern North America, introduced accidentally from Japan. Elongate hemlock scale, or EHS, is an exotic insect pest of hemlocks. It multiplies more quickly on stressed trees, including those already infested with hemlock woolly adelgid. This insect can be recognized by the presence of dry, crusty, yellowish-brown female, or white, male, elongated scales, and a white woolly substance similar to HWA. EHS attaches to the needles, while HWA attaches at the base of the needles on the stem. The ensuing rapid and widespread decline of hemlocks due to the presence of these pests is why this project is important. This study exists to identify hemlocks that are persisting longer than others out in nature, with the aim to research and identify why certain hemlocks are lingering longer than others, even after being persistently or chronically infested by HWA and EHS. Important strides have been made in hemlock conservation, but chemical control is not sustainable, and biological control is still being developed and therefore not yet fully effective. We need a long-term solution. The Lingering Hemlock Project has been tasked with developing protocols to identify lingering hemlock trees in areas infested with hemlock woolly adelgid and possibly also infested with elongate hemlock scale. But in areas where hemlock mortality is still below 80%, participants will monitor ongoing hemlock health through the establishment of hemlock health monitoring plots, so that we can know as soon as possible when mortality reaches 80%, and we can transition into searching for lingering hemlocks. This is helpful for a few reasons. This will help us track hemlock mortality, just like with the Lingering Hemlock Protocol. There's not yet a unified structure for collecting and sharing data on where mortality has occurred, but our plot network will assist with that. Another important aspect of these plots is that they will sort of act as sentinel hemlock stands. Once one of these regularly monitored stands reaches 80% hemlock mortality, we know not only to search that stand for remaining living hemlocks, but also that it might be time to search the surrounding landscape for lingering hemlocks. Hemlock health monitoring plots can be deployed as follows. Across the eastern U.S. and eastern Canada, for eastern hemlock, Tsuga canadensis, in a variety of habitat conditions, by trained individuals, both professionals and trained laypeople, in a way that is suitable for long-term monitoring, and with data entered into a common reporting system that can be accessed by tree researchers. To set up a hemlock health monitoring plot, you begin by selecting a site. If you have many sites to choose from, start in the sites with the most stressful conditions. These stressful conditions include steep slopes that are south or west facing, ridgetops, areas with low water availability, sites with warmer average temperatures as you decrease in elevation and increase in latitude, sites with larger and lots of hemlocks, or any other condition that may be adding to a hemlock stress, such as natural disasters or other pests. Plots should be spread across the landscape in different environments when possible. Each site may have multiple plots. If you are creating multiple plots in your site, there should be no more than 3 plots to a site, and the plots should be separated by at least 50 meters or 150 feet. Each plot should contain about 20 to 40 living hemlock trees relatively close in proximity, close enough to monitor all in one visit. Trees in the plot should be representative of the forest condition in the area. Not every tree in the area must be tagged and monitored, but you should not bias your selection based on tree health or size. Plots should be established in stands that have not undergone and will not undergo chemical treatment. The goal of these plots is to monitor ongoing natural hemlock decline due to HWA and EHS. A tree that survives because it has been chemically treated is not indicative of genetic resilience. Trees in your plots should not have received chemical treatment in the past 15 years. Similarly, you should be relatively certain that they will not receive chemical treatment in the next 15 years. There are various forms of plots, and they can be designed to best suit the terrain on which you are surveying. Some are more practical than others, depending on where you are. Plot designs can include a fixed radius plot, a transect or trail plot, or shape plot, such as a rectangle. A fixed radius plot would include all hemlock trees within a predetermined distance from an established center point marked on GPS, and physically with a rebar, tree tag, or regularly refreshed tree paint. In a very dense hemlock stand, a fixed radius is likely to be small, say 10 to 30 feet, to incorporate the 20 to 40 living hemlocks that make up a plot. A fixed radius plot may be a good option for a relatively flat area with dense hemlocks. For transect or trail plots, you could instead choose to anchor your plot to a beginning point, which you would also mark with a GPS coordinate and something physical, such as labeled rebar, tree tag, or regularly refreshed tree paint. A transect plot can extend in the direction of your choice until you have incorporated the 20 to 40 hemlock trees that make up a plot. This may be a good option for an area that is less dense and/or has a steep grade that would make a circular plot more difficult to traverse. Finally, you could choose to create anchor points at each corner of a rectangle or other shaped site. As in the other plot designs, these anchor points should be marked and have GPS coordinates taken. This may be a good option in an area with moderate hemlock density or in which a hemlock stand is bordered by other forest types. Once you have selected a good location or locations for site and plot establishment, collect the data outlined in the Site Basic Information and Setup form. This will include basic information about the site and more specific information about each plot. Be sure to mark the plot boundary that is relevant to the plot design you've chosen either the plot center, corners, or ends of a transect, and collect reference GPS coordinates as needed to guide monitors back to the plot in the future. Please take down this information in such a way that a colleague could fill in for you if you were unable to conduct surveys in future years for any reason. The form contains an area where you can draw a sketch of the plot design, if you believe that doing so would be a helpful way to orient future monitors to the plot. In your first year of data collection, you'll need to tag each living hemlock tree with a diameter at breast height, dBH, over 4 inches. Make sure you have permission to install permanent markers from the site owner or manager before doing this. Only the trees that are tagged upon establishment of the plot are expected to be measured in the future. Trees that grow to larger than 4 inches in dBH that were too small to tag when the plot was established can be tagged later. Numbered tree tags are commercially available online. They can be purchased at treestuff.com, among other locations. They are often round aluminum tags that can be hammered into a tree using aluminum nails. Be aware that this type of tag may be used to denote other aspects of forest management, such as marking trees which have been treated. Trees marked for removal are often flagged with spray paint or flagging tape, large markings at eye level. If hemlock trees in or near your stands have been marked for other reasons, you may want to look for tree tags with a unique color or shape to help you differentiate them from other tree tags nearby. If you do not wish to use tree tags, it's also possible to mark trees simply by spray painting numbers onto their bark. If you choose to mark using spray paint, please remember that you'll need to reapply your labels every few years so as not to lose track of your trees. Your final step before collecting your first round of annual tree information is to assess each dead hemlock that has a dBH of greater than 4 inches. Data on dead trees is only collected when the plot is established, so there's no need to tag dead trees or revisit them later. You can collect this data using the Dead Tree Information form, which can be found online at the address shown on the screen. This includes such fields as date, species, dBH, and status. Is the tree standing or fallen? If it's fallen, is it decomposing? Signs of decomposition include bark partially or fully fallen off, wood rotting, or it may have fruiting bodies of fungi present. You will be asked questions like your name, contact information, and basic information about trees in the plot. You'll be asked to record the diameter at breast height, HWA infestation levels, EHS infestation levels, crown health, and canopy position. For HWA and EHS infestation levels, you should record high levels if more than 50% of the needles have HWA or EHS presence respectively, medium if 20 to 50% of needles have HWA or EHS presence, and low if less than 20% of needles have HWA or EHS presence. For crown health, you should record a hemlock as healthy if it has 80% or more of its live crown remaining, as in decline if it has 80 to 20% of its live crown remaining, and as severe decline if the hemlock has less than 20% of its live crown remaining. For canopy position, select dominant if the hemlock extends above the forest canopy, codominant if the hemlock makes up the forest canopy, and overtopped if the hemlock is completely below the forest canopy. Don't forget the comment section. This is where you can say anything else that is not covered in the rest of the data, anything you would like future monitors or researchers to know about your plot. You'll also have the option to add additional information about the plot by answering additional questions, such as hemlock regeneration presence, biological control presence, species composition of the rest of the trees in the plot, and other stressors that are present. These questions are truly optional, but the more you answer, the more useful your plot will be. Please answer as many as you have time for. These questions will be able to give researchers more information about what might be leading to the health or to the decline of the hemlocks in your plot. If there's anything you want to say that isn't covered by the questions provided, don't hesitate to put it in the comments section. At this point, your plot is established, and you're ready to monitor it annually. Please transcribe your data into this Excel form before you send it to the lab. There will soon be an app to record and submit your data. Information about this new development will be posted on our website as it's released. Your effort will help us know when it's time to start searching for lingering hemlocks in the area, and the data that comes from this plot will be invaluable to researchers as they seek ways to save and perpetuate these beautiful trees. Thank you for taking the time to complete this training for the Lingering Hemlock Project. Your work is important in our fight for preservation with our treasured hemlock species. You should now be able to understand the objectives of the Lingering Hemlock Project, identify and discern between Hemlock woolly adelgid, HWA, and elongate hemlock scale, EHS. Establish a hemlock health monitoring plot by carrying out the following steps: selecting a site, designing a plot, putting plots on the ground, surveying dead trees, and monitoring plots. Now that you have watched this video, please take the survey shown on your screen. This will help us know who has received our training and will give you an opportunity to provide feedback. If you have any remaining questions or are interested in in-person support setting up your plot, you can contact a Lingering Hemlock Project representative. Contact information can be found under the Contact tab on our website. To learn more about what will happen with your plot data after you submit it, check out our video titled, "What Happens After I Submit My Data?" Thank you again for your passion and your purpose. Good luck and good hunting.